Malawi Today.
What was the role of Prince Kapondamgaga on the meeting of the 6th March 2024?
I think, if my memory is not confusing me, he was eating. He had come to eat.
Mafunso anali ochuluka kwa Boyd pamene anayankha yankho lodabwisa kwambiri kuti Kapondamgaga ku meeting yokhuzana ndi kugula Amaryllis Hotel, meeting ya mabiliyoni. Iwo azoona akanene kuti Kapondamgaga anangobwera kuzadya, koma zimenezi ndizoona. Nde apa pabwera Kapondamgaga eni akewo tifuna tiwamve kuti kodi Kapondamgaga ku meeting ya mabiliyoni munangobwera kuzadya. Tate ndikhali mozi kuti timve kuti Kapondamgaga ayankhula zotani ku komiti imeneyi.
We have Parliament has asked you to appear before Parliament because of a meeting that you attended in March 2025 in Mzuzu. So basically, it's just to understand the role that you played in the 2024. So it's just to find out the role you played in the sale of Amaryllis Hotel by the pension fund. So who law in this way?
Thank you, Chair. My name is Prince Kapondamgaga, the former Chief of Staff in the recent past regime. Thank you.
So that they can ask questions. But from the chair's desk, Mr. Kapondamgaga, you are one of smart and distinguished son of this country. Having noted that you didn't have any mandate to be in that committee in Mzuzu, what motivated you to remain in that committee and have an access to information on how the running of the investment is going to happen when you had no rights whatsoever to be in that meeting? Maybe you may take that one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the good question. Mr. Chairman, I would like to, first of all, indicate that it is my sincere belief that as a Chief of Staff at State Residences, this is one of the strategic senior positions in government. And technically, I do report I was reporting actually, I should say, to the Secretary to President and the Cabinet. Politically, I was reporting direct to the President. So, in any case, if my supervisor or my boss requests me to go into a meeting to listen in, I thought it was proper to accept and support my supervisor to be in that meeting. I also think that Chief of Staff is a leadership position and a senior post in any government. I want to believe that such a position is a position of leadership. And the instance of leadership is not in the title or the location or geographical location where the designation is placed. When there is any issue to do with government or public service, and you are in that position, and you have been consulted by your senior, your supervisor, to support, it is only proper, in my view, to go and support. Because leadership is about showing up or rising to the occasion to support government or support the leadership on the strategic matters of national importance. When you look at the Public Service Pension Fund Trust, excuse me, in my view, this is a fund that government must get consent. And this is a fund where government contributes 10% of its money to the pensioners. I think it will be very strategic for government to be engaged, to be involved in this particular matter. So when the Secretary to the President and Cabinet briefed me and asked me to come to join her in a meeting and listen in, I thought it was proper for me to accept and listen to the issues that concern the public service, where government's interest is also represented. I think, Chair, that's how I would handle that question. That's my belief that I needed to accept the invitation of being an observer in a meeting of that nature. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, honour members. I see Zomba Sidenov. I see Mulanje West. I see Palombe Machemba, Chikwawa North. I see Chilazulu Nyungwe, in that order, please, for this round. I see you, the senior, and the rest. I see Mulanje Southeast. Let me start with Mulanje Southeast. Mulanje Southeast, please.
Honorable Chairperson, thank you for recognizing the people of Mulanje Southeast. Our stakeholder, I just wanted to find out, for the past 5 years, when you were holding the position of a Director of State Residences, how many meetings of MDAs did you ever attend? Thank you, Chairperson. I will have a follow-up to this.
Maybe I give you time, that controlling officer, the former controlling officer, maybe you can take that one. Then he is going to give you a follow-up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to thank you, Mulanje Southeast, for the key question you have raised. How many meetings of MDAs did you ever attend? There are quite a number of meetings that I attended for MDAs. Even the meetings at OPC, we receive invitation when you are at State House. Sometimes I attend through delegation, sometimes I attended myself. A good example, meetings.
There is a point of order. Can you switch off the mic? What has gone out of order, Blunt Chiromon?
Is it in order for the former chief of staff to contradict himself? Because he said just a few minutes ago that he has never attended any such meetings, except for this one. It came out from his mouth. Now he's saying he has been invited to attend other MDM. I want him to come out very, very clear so we know we are on the same page.
Mr. Kapondamgaga, can you take that one? Blantyre Chilomoni, your point of order is sustained. So he wants comfort, because within 10 minutes there are contradictory remarks. So can you come out clear? Over to you, controlling officer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't think there is a contradictory remark. Mr. Blantyre Chilomoni, my point of saying I've never attended any meeting of the public or the purchase of the Amaryllis Hotel I have never attended any meeting. The only meeting I attended that was talking about this was the 6th March 2024 meeting. I wanted to be very clear. I'm sorry if I had missed you on that one, and my sincere apologies for that. But that's what I was referring to. While Mulanje Southeast was asking...
Controlling officer, before you proceed, Blantyre Chiromon, are you okay?
Yes, because it's very important that this only meeting of the pension fund that they are discussing a sale of Amaryllis Hotel is the only meeting that he happens to attend. Yes, so I was building my case from there. It's very important, Chair, for my questions when you give me the floor. Thank you.
Former controlling officer, Mr. Kapondamgaga, you may wish also to clearly indicate the form of support that the then SPC wanted from you, because that will also guide, will help the committee to get to the final conclusion on this issue, so that we get to understand what sort of support. And that support, since you indicated that in that meeting you never spoke, you were very quiet, did you offer that support outside the room, or what happened? Thank you so much. You can take that one.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for the question. What kind of support? I was requested to go into the meeting to also listen in. It was my expectation that after listening in, there will be follow-up meetings where I would be asked to contribute what I got from the meeting. But there hasn't been any such of those meetings. That's my understanding of the support, because I was thinking that after listening in, he would ask me my views and what are the take-home messages that I had from the meeting. So since it was a request from her, I thought it was solicited. I was expecting that there would be also a solicitation of follow-up meetings. So I didn't want to go and get involved providing unsolicited advice. Thank you, Chair.
Mulanje Southeast, over to you.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I'm assuming that my first question has been responded to, and I would want to ride on the interjection from my colleague from Blantyre Chiromon. Honorable former controlling officer, you submitted to this honorable committee that you did not speak or contribute in the 6th March meeting because the Public Service Pension Fund was an autonomous body, in your own words, and you could not engage in affecting its independent decision making. That's coming from you. And you were willing to go into subsequent meetings or follow-up meetings if invited by the then SPC. And you found that that was okay. But in this particular meeting, the first one, you said it wasn't okay for you to engage the Public Service Pension Fund because it was an autonomous body. Don't you see that as a contradiction? Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Mulanje Southeast. Mr. Kapondamgaga.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mulanje Southeast. I think I need to be very clear that the issue of autonomous body and my presence not intended to interfere in the independent decision-making process. I was just making a comment that, because the question is under, okay, the question is, let's see, number 3. Clarify the authority under which you participated in discussion or directives relating to a commercial investments transaction undertaken by an autonomous pension fund. So I'm saying that I participated solely by an invitee as an invitee of the Office of the President and Cabinet supporting the SPC. The meeting was convened by OPC to discuss matters of public interest, namely the governance, stewardship, and protection of public servants' pension funds, which fall within the broad oversight remit of the Office of the President and the President. No directives were issued by me personally. Any guidance given during the meeting was attributed to OPC as an institution. The Public Service Pension Trust Fund remains an autonomous body, and my presence was not intended, my presence there was not intended to interfere with its decision-making process. Coming to the expectation, I think it's a legitimate expectation that when somebody invites you to a meeting to listen in, you would expect they will ask you, what did you get? The response to that may not necessarily refer to the issues of decision-making on the Amaryllis Hotel. I will give you an example. What I got from the meeting was that there was a need, even through the deliberations you have had with different stakeholders, one key issue that is coming out strongly is the need for strengthening accountability framework of the Public Service Pension Trust Fund. I would have given that as my contribution, because for me, I didn't think that if I was asked by the then SPC, I would go to the details of whatever in the meeting. I would only provide lessons that I'm getting from that. So one of the lessons that I saw, and which, when you're going through the deliberations which this honorable committee has been having with its different stakeholders, you see that there is need to strengthen the accountability framework at both levels, governance and management. That's the sort of advice I could provide. I would not provide anything because the question is very clear what you want to get from me. It's about a proposed procurement of the Amaryllis Hotel. That one I couldn't. Because I was supposed to be in the meeting and listen to everything. But in terms of if asked to give advice, Mr. Chairman, I would shift my advice to focus on a particular emphasis where I think it doesn't touch anything to do with the hotel. Because you remember, as I raised, Mr. Chairman, I said that there were issues about operations, governance, and investment portfolio. Investment portfolio, that's where the issues of Amaryllis Hotels and what have you could be discussed. But in terms of the governance and what have you, I could only observe, I could only see. I've been a CEO for 13 years for an institution. I've served as a chief of staff for 5 years. I've been in various boards. I've been the president of the Chambers of Commerce. So I know what issues are discussed in the board and how to sift the advice to provide. So I think, Mr. Chairman, I would say that my response to the addendum to Mulanje Southeast question would be answered in that manner. I would choose to what advice. Mr. Chairman, allow me to conclude what Mulanje Southeast asked earlier about what other meetings, MDA meetings, have you attended. There are several meetings that I've ever attended within the 5 years I've been at the state residences. For instance, when the president was making a pronouncement on the SME's policy direction, there were several meetings that culminated into that policy direction. And I was invited by the then SPC, Mr. Zanga Chikos, before the Madam Zamba. We were part and parcel of the team that was developing that. When you are going to international trips, when the president is going for international trips, the SPC writes to different MDAs, and we happen to be one of them. We are requested to participate in those meetings. So as I said, there are many meetings I can mention, but Mr. Chairman, just to manage time, Mulanje Southeast, I think that's so far what I can give as examples of some meetings of MDAs I have ever attended in my capacity then as a former Chief of Staff. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Let me take Zomba City. North. Zomba City North.
Thank you, Chair. And through you, I want to ask the former Chief of Staff, after admitting that he attended the meeting, and also he mentioned in one of his submissions that he reports he was supposed to be reporting to the then president, the former head of state. Did you inform the former head of state of what transpired at that particular meeting that you had attended? That's number one. And number two, in one of his submissions, he said, and I quote, the meeting was convened by the OPC to discuss matters of public interest, namely the governance, stewardship, and protection of public servants' pension funds. Are you aware that according to the trust deed for the pension fund, the OPC has no specific role to play in the management of the fund? Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Prince Kapondamgaga, can you take those questions from Zomba City North? Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This meeting, I did not report to His Excellency, the President, because this is a meeting that was called by his own office, the Secretary, to the President and the Cabinet. So I wouldn't be the one, as a matter of order. It should be the Secretary to President and the Cabinet reporting that meeting to His Excellency. So it is my expectation that the meeting, which happened on 6th March 2024, the SPC, the Secretary to the President and Cabinet, may have informed the President. Thank you.
Vice Chair, Mulanje West.
Thank you, Chair, and all my seniors. The former Chief of Staff, are you telling this House that your invitation from the for the SPC was from the head of state, when you are saying, the then head of state, when you are saying that the Chief of Staff was the one who was supposed to report to the President? If yes or no, did you take leave when you were getting out of the office or the office of the President as the Chief of Staff, meeting Chief Secretary? If you took leave, why are you saying that I was supposed to report to the President? And being an invitee or an observer, what did you say in this meeting? Knowing that you might not, I'm sure you know that you are not the first person appearing to this committee. Others also came. What did you say in this meeting? I'll follow up another question.
Mr. Kapondamgaga, can you take those questions from the Vice Chair, Mulanje West?
Mr. Chairperson, let me respond to Mulanje West on the, did the President call for this meeting? I'm not saying the President called for the meeting, but the office, which is headed by the Secretary to the President and Cabinet, the Secretary sits in the office of the President and Cabinet and is the one that reports directly to the President on any substantive matters of that nature. In any case, this was not my meeting. I didn't have any formal invitation to this meeting. So it was not my responsibility to go and report on the meeting which I didn't have any responsibility over. I think that's my understanding. Number two, I didn't take leave because this meeting happened in the evening when we had knocked off. So this meeting started around 7. I didn't take leave because I had already taken leave that I'm going home. So I was going home. We were done with the assignments of the day. I never said any word in the meeting. My role was to listen. It was very clear. Thank you, Chair.
Vice Chair has a supplementary question, but yeah, proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Knowing that your first responsibility is to report to the President. Suppose if somebody had to pass on in this meeting, you mean to say you couldn't be involved, knowing that you were just there invited by being an observer? And having asked you that, does it mean that being in the office of the President and the Chief of Staff, you're able to walk out anyhow without the knowledge of the President? And from this meeting, whom did you report, apart from the President that you didn't report? Did you have anybody else whom you told about what happened in this meeting? And I did ask to say, apart from being an observer, did you say anything else to this meeting, or you were just quiet of it was? But what pleases the SPC to invite you to attend to this meeting? Should we say whatever transpired in this meeting, you were part and parcel of it? If it was an issue of stealing money, did you steal together with the SPC? Despite that one, you didn't even report it to your then head of state. Maybe you're just thinking that you're home, yet you are not at home. Suppose some of the things happened this night, or this day, it was a night, this day where you met in Mzuzu, and you didn't report to the President. And somebody had to say, have been stolen my money. Were you not to be part and parcel of it? And somebody also reported that we've seen in this room where you were, or the two who came, one passed on. Were you not to be involved in the death of the person who was supposed to be in that day? Knowing that you were Chief of Staff, despite that you've been invited in each and every meeting of MDS, but being a Chief of Staff from the office of the President, from the house of the President, but you had to go to the office of the Chief Secretary to attend to a meeting of the transaction. If we are saying, if this office or me asking or telling you to say you were a part of this transaction, am I lying? What pleases you not to say, okay? But also when I heard you, you said, you were invited to tell the Chief Secretary about your presence in Mzuzu, but also the welfare of the house or the office where you are working. After transacting or after discussing with the SPC about your office of a Chief of Staff, what pleased you, knowing that this is a government, yes, transaction where 10% is there? What pleases you to say I should remain and listen to the transaction, yet it was not even part of the work which you are supposed to do? Were there any, apart from being the Chief Secretary, if I may ask, the SPC, if I may ask, were there some personal business with her, apart from being the SPC and you, Chief of Staff, were there any personal issues which we were discussing about that, which pleases you to say, I want to remain with this lady and discuss some of these transactions, and being from the office of the President? That's a very big office which you attend and which you wear, a very big office. And fearing the position which you had, that one, you are supposed to be sent by the President, and you were in this office without even the President be aware of what is happening. What pleases you to say, what type of responsibility were you doing whereby the President was not even aware of what or any transaction which you are taking? Thank you so much. Come up with a follow-up question.
Thank you so much, Mulanje West, our Vice Chair tonight. Over to you, Mr. Kapondamgaga. Honourable members, I want us to engage. So we may not have to pick so many questions at once. Why? So that all the questions which are being posed are responded to, and you can come up with a follow-up question. Over to you. What has gone out of order, Zomba City North?
Just to remind you that I had posed 2 questions. He has answered 1, and there is 1 substantive question. Because from the first question that I asked, I think that's where the supplementary questions are emanating from.
Thank you so much, Zomba Sitenov. This is the exact reason I'm saying we'll go one after another to avoid having a scenario where other questions haven't been responded to. Mr. Prince Kapondamgaga, please respond to Mulanje West and make sure that you also handle the second question from Zomba Site North. Over to you.
Mr. Chairman, let me thank Mulanje West for the questions. I think there have been so many, so if you forgive me if I will not pick, I will not remember some, but I will try my best to answer every question. But allow me, Mr. Chairperson, to start with the answering the second question from Zomba City North. The SPC, the Act says the SPC has no mandate to look into issues of management. I think, yes, the Act is like that, but government has overall responsibility. I would say that the independence can be absolute, can also be relative. A good example are the banks. The banks are private entities, but they are regulated by government because government is interested, because banks keep money for the citizens of the government. Similarly, when you look at the issues of the pension service, the public service pension trust fund, it is to do with the pensions for the civil servants. It is to do with the contribution of 10% to the pension fund. In my view, this is not managing the pension fund, what the SPC is supposed to do. It is to provide oversight functions and report the same to the president. For instance, in the meetings you have been having, I think 2 days ago, I listened. I have been following these meetings. I listened. I got Mr. Chairman read a letter which came from the head of state as a statement that he's monitoring, he's supporting this. If government at that strategic level cannot be concerned with the matters that are happening in institutions of this nature that are quasi-private, quasi-government, then who else? Because people do expect that the president will provide oversight function through his office, using the agents or directly. So it is my expectation, Mr. Chairman, that much as the Act limits management affairs of the fund to the board and management, oversight, government oversight must be allowed. It is the same thing. I belong to the agriculture industry.
What has gone out of order, Blantyre Chiromon?
The former chief of staff has mentioned something to do with government oversight. Yet all along in his presentation, he said his role was just an observer. Are you confirming now that your role, much as we are an observer, was also to do with indirect, which you are saying is maybe absolute or not, or relative? Are you now saying that in this meeting, much as you are an observer, you could have changed and also provide some oversight?
Maybe we give him a chance to respond to that one. As you respond to Blantyre Chiromoni, I would like to the former chief of staff to bring it to your attention that the Public Service Pension Trust Fund has a line ministry, which is the Ministry of Finance. that invitation was extended to you, did it occur at any point that the Ministry of Finance was in the know about that engagement? Because ideally, the Ministry of Finance is the one which is supposed to provide that oversight role and to provide strategic guidance and at the same time policy direction. At that level, did you bring into the loop the Ministry of Finance? Over to you, former Chief of Staff.
Mr. Chairman, let me start responding. Start with giving a response to your question first. This is a meeting that is being invited by the OPC. SPC is the head of public service. In my view, if she wanted, which I cannot speak for her, I don't want to speculate. If that is an issue, it was supposed to be addressed by that office. Because me, I'm just coming in to listen. I've just been invited. As an observer, for that matter, I don't have any substantive interest to speak on those matters because my role was just to listen in. So I thought that is an issue which
I think you are misleading this committee. You know, are you aware that? Oh, sorry.
You're a senior member of the committee. You should know the proceedings. Blantyre Chilomoni, what is out of order?
Chair, your point was very clear and straightforward. Under the pensions trust deed, the government of Malawi as an employer is only represented by the Ministry of Finance. Whatever you're saying here is not true, or is a misrepresentation of facts. As exactly what the chair said, and you keep mentioning the same, you keep contradicting yourself. The government of Malawi, according to the trust, I don't know if you have read the trust deed.
Other members, let's proceed in this way. Like I indicated, we exhaust, then we move to the next question. So this far, Mr. Kapondamgaga, attend to those questions, then we'll proceed as per my guidance. Over to you.
Mr. Chairman, what I'm saying, maybe responding to Blantyre Chilomoni, I'm saying that I can not speculate on behalf of the SPC. Yes, so anything to do, whosoever was supposed to be in that meeting, I think it was under his powers. It was his meeting. Me, I was just an invited person to listen in. I thought that's a point which I was trying to clarify. Coming to Mulanje West, maybe before I go there, Chair, maybe I want to be less assured whether I have addressed the question number 2 for Zomba City North, because I want us to be systematic and very focused. So I want to make sure whether I have addressed that question, Mr. Chair.
Zomba City North, can you refresh the former Chief of Staff on your second question? Zomba City North, please.
Thank you, Chair. I was going through the submission that he had made earlier on, and I quote what he said, that the meeting was convened by the Office of the President and Cabinet to discuss matters of public interest, namely the governance, stewardship, and protection of public servants' pension funds. So my question was, are you aware that according to the trustee deed for the pension fund, the OPC that convened this meeting has no specific role to play in the management of the fund? Are you aware about that? Indeed, if you are aware, why would you sit in a meeting where discussions are bordering about the management of the fund, which you are not supposed to intervene in the matters of the board of their fund.
Mr. Kapondamgaga, please take that one.
Mr. Chairman, I wasn't aware to answer the question from Zomba City North. In any case, this meeting was called by OPC, so I wasn't aware to begin with. I accepted in the comfort that government at times comes in when they want to understand operations of some strategic institutions, and they normally do that through the OPC's office. So one would expect that the SPC or the OPC would be better placed to why that meeting was convened when the Act states otherwise. So, Mr. Chairman, that's how I can respond to that. Oh, sorry.
Chakwera North.
Well, thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson. The controlling officer, can you tell this committee on action points that were assigned to the PSPTF for the execution during the meeting? Number one. Number two, the controlling officer, out of all the senior personnel in the government on that time, why only you were chosen to be part of this committee? What attracted the SPC to invite you to the committee, to this meeting? Thank you so much, Chair. Thank you.
Mr. Prince Kapondamgaga, because you have time and again indicated that you were just there to listen. So if you listen to the first question from Chakwera North, is in a way asking you to briefly give the committee what you listened, what was the strategic direction that you were providing. Because even in your response, you've indicated that at times the government wants to understand. But when you look at, as of March 2024, at that stage, you had been a controlling officer for State House for about 4 years. And the SPC had been, SPC appointed by the president then, had spent about 4 years in those controlling officer position. So what took so long for people to get to 4 years without understanding some of these and want to understand it after the operations after 4 years? You may take those controlling officer.
Thank you, Chair. But maybe before I proceed to respond to Chakwera North, I have not responded to the issues raised by Mulanje West because of the so many interjections that came in between. Would you allow me to?
Controlling officer, you can start with Mulanje West, then proceed with the other questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair. Mulanje West, you asked so many questions. If I don't maybe address some, you might. You may remind me if I've forgotten. To begin with, for my experience working with the president, you are also a gatekeeper. There are issues that because the president is a very busy person. There are strategic matters that you need to bring to the fore of the president. And when there are some issues you think you can handle as your office, you serve the president better that way. Because in any case, by virtue of choosing you to be in that office, you are an agent of the president. So there are matters that you think they don't have a strong bearing on decisions to be made by the president. That was the main reason that I had taken leave of the president, and what I was dealing with, I thought it's something that I could deal with at the technical level, because where the person I was meeting is a supervisor technically, not to me, that is not a political, a strategic politically. So that's why I thought that being called to attend to a meeting and being an observer would not necessarily mean that every detail I need to take to the president. I used my judgment in that manner. If it's an error, it's an error on judgment, not an error by choice that you don't want to. So that's the way I take it. If there was an issue of an extreme case, as you indicated, Mulanje West, Honorable Mulanje West, I think that is an extreme case. If there is a death occurrence, I think that's a special case. You treat it as case by case. So that would have gotten to the attention of the president. We thank God nothing of that sort happened. But if there was such a thing, for sure, you would report to the president. I would report to the president. The third one, you asked about my personal relationship. I don't hold any personal relationships when I'm at work. Personal relationships are done when I'm at home. So when I'm at work, I believe in being professional. So my relationship with the SPC has been professional, and it had always been so in that regard. I think that's what I can respond to the questions that were raised by Mulanje West. The others, I think, were just an expansion of explanation on the points that you raised. So they were not as substantive questions as they came. Let me move to Mulanje Chakwera North. Yes. Oh, sorry, sir.
What has gone out of order, Mulanje West?
He says when he's at work, he doesn't even hold any personal relationship. This day, when you didn't take leave of the president, were you at home or it was during work time? But also, you said you didn't take leave of the president, but also you didn't even report to him. What made you to say this transaction, the State House is also aware? When you're talking about the State House was aware, were you talking about yourself or the person who employed you? Or you were employed by the SPC or you were employed by the president? And who is the best person who is supposed to be, whom you are supposed to report issues? Were you supposed to report issues to the president or to SPC? Who was your immediate boss? Thank you.
Controlling officer, when we're done with responding to those, then we'll move to another honored member. Because I just want to be fair, so that we reach out to as many members of parliament or team members of public accounts as we can, so that everyone feels that we are pulling in one direction as a team. Over to you, Mr. Kapondamgaga.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me respond to Mulanje West, the point of order. In my view, and this is my strong belief, the president must not be told everything. When you see that there are operational issues or technical or tactical issues that you can deal with, don't bother the president. The president has a lot of work to manage the country. That's why he trusts us as his agents to manage some of the things that we are supposed to handle. I couldn't go back and take leave of the president when I had knocked off and I'm going home, and when going home, the SPC wants to meet me. There are so many meetings of that sort that take place in a government. I don't think you can belabor telling everything to the president. That is a strategic position. That is a very busy position. So you have to use your judgment in your office. If you make an error, own it. But as a leader in that field, in that respective office, you need to make a decision. So that's a decision I took, that because I weighed, that was my personal judgment, I weighed that these matters, we can handle them at our level. If there are any issues very serious and strategic, in any case, this meeting was called by the OPC, the head of Secretariat, the Secretary to the President and Cabinet. And the Secretary of the President and Cabinet is expected to brief the President on such matters. So I think that's how I would handle those issues about why I didn't take leave or why I didn't report. I made that decision. If I made an error, it's a judgment error. But I thought I need to own that. That's a decision I took. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mulanje West, allow us to proceed. I know, then we can come, Vice Chair, to give you a chance. But I think that you had to start on this one. Can you proceed to Zomba City? I mean Chikwawa North. Yes, Chikwawa North. Over to you, Controlling Officer.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to respond to the questions, two questions actually, raised by Chikwawa North. Action points from the meeting. Why only you? What attracted the SPC to invite you? Let me start with the question number 2. I wouldn't speculate and think on behalf of the SPC. The SPC is better placed to respond to such a question because it was her choice. It was her decision. So I don't want to spend time speculating. This is a house of records. You said, Chair, that we have to speak what we think is right and proper. So I don't think, Chair, I should belabor to go into speculation. Number 2, what action points? I would want also to say that I can only give generalities, but not action points. In any case, this meeting, in my view, must have minutes. And by governance standards, those minutes must have been reviewed, must have been adopted, must have been approved, signed by the secretary and the chairperson of that meeting. In those minutes, that's where you get action points that were given to specifically to the public service pension trust fund. In any case, I would struggle, Mr. Chairman, I must be honest, to do a recall of the action points. I can only speak in general terms, because this meeting took 2 years ago, took place 2 years ago. That's 6th March 2024. We are now on 19th March 2026. So to be honest, I can only give generalities. Generalities, as I said, the pension service trust and pension trust fund was given time to elaborate what it is, its operations and investment portfolios that are happening. So these were the issues that were there. One of the issues which was raised, I think I remember vividly, is an issue where they were saying that there was a potential litigation. I think that was the issue which the legal officer for the OPC was handling. So these are the critical issues in general terms. But for specifics, in terms of action points, Mr. Chairman, I would be very frank and honest that it is imperative to refer to the minutes so that we get a substantive record of what transpired from that meeting. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Can I have Palombe Machemba? Other members, take note that I had picked. We need to exhaust those who laid their hands and we considered so that we go in that order. So, Palombe Machemba.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, allow me to ask the Director, the Controller, Mr. Kapondamgaga. My first question, Chair, is to find out from Mr. Kapondamgaga if at all, at any point, he expressed his opinion regarding the sale of Amaryllis Hotel. If he did at any point expressed his opinion, can he share it with this committee? Chair, my second question is to find out from him whether he truly consider his attendance at this meeting of 6th March 2024 as a good precedence for a public officer without a formal mandate to participate in discussions on major financial investments by a public institution. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Kapondamgaga.
Thank you, Chair. Let me appreciate the questions that have been raised by Palombe Machemba. Let me ask, Chair, if Palombe Machemba would repeat the question on expressing opinion on the sale. Expressing opinion at this particular meeting, or I just want to be very clear before I respond.
Palombe Machemba, can you be clear?
Thank you, Chair, for the chance to clarify my first question. The opinion probably expressed during this meeting or even outside this meeting at any point. Thank you, Chair.
Kapondamgaga, please.
Mr. Chairman, I didn't say anything at this meeting, so there is no way I could express my opinion. I heard about what was said, but I didn't express an opinion. I didn't think it was proper for me to do so. Secondly, let me hold my right to remain silent about expressing the opinion about Amaryllis for now. Thank you.
That is in order. Can we go to... Can you take the second question from Palombe Machemba?
Yeah, I think I don't have any regrets, to be honest, to be in this meeting. I listened in. I understood some of the things that I didn't know about the fund, which is a public service fund, and I was a public officer. And the issue of whether to have a formal invitation or not, I think not all meetings are supposed to have formal invitations. Sometimes they just give you a call that would be regarded as not formal, but at least they have communicated, especially in the present world, where there are WhatsApps, the social media, there are different forms of communication. So I have to be honest. I don't regret anything. Thank you, Chair.
Other members, you can hold your supplementary questions because we need to be fair. I think you may recall yesterday we had an in-house meeting and some of those things were raised. So anyone with substantive questions, take them down, then we'll recognize you as such. We had already picked Chilazulu Nyungwe. Chilazulu Nyungwe?
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. The people of Chilazulu Nyungwe would like to know, in the submission, particularly on point number 3, you stated that any guidance given during the meeting was attributed to the OPC. We also have a submission in this very committee that states that some of the attendees of this same meeting felt that the SPC was much interested in the Amaryllis transaction moving forward. I think there was a submission that even stated that some of the officers were using their technical know-how or their ability to make the transaction pass through as a way to gain some sort of advantage. So as an observer, I would like the former Chief of Staff to please confirm if he observed that this was the case and this was the position that the SPC took. I think I'll stop there for now. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Chilazulu Nyungwe, former SPC, is not attending today, but I will give the guidance as we go along because of other things. Because now and again, the controlling officer, the former Chief of Staff, has indicated few things that I cannot speculate. So maybe we'll get to that level at a certain point as to what has actually happened and give guidance on how we're going to move as a committee. Over to you, the former controlling officer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for according me this opportunity to respond to the question, or rather a comment that has been submitted by the people of Chilazulu Nyungwe. The statement which has been raised is a value judgment statement, and it's subjective because it depends on how the others listened and interpreted it, because it is subject to interpretation actually. That they saw that the SPC was pushing. I would avoid that statement. I would not comment anything, Mr. Chair. This is a House of Records. I would only rely on the minutes of that particular meeting to be a true and fair reflection of what was said. So I don't have any comment on that. I don't want to pass any value judgment. Thank you.
Controlling officer, former Chief of Staff. Like there was an indication that we have so many documents, one of which is what you have actually told this committee, that in any event, when you have a meeting, there has to be minutes, all right, signed, so that you agree that this is what we agreed. So, in all fairness, since you actually said you can't recall, but I remember saying you actually indicated the time that meeting occurred. But I would like to help you by refreshing you with actually what actually happened in that meeting. So I'll ask Blantyre Chiromoni to go through the minutes, just say, here and there, just to help you recall few things that were discussed in that meeting. Blantyre Chiromoni.
Thank you, Chair. Let me refresh his memory. Action plan number 1 in that meeting the OPC suggested that a person from the OPC should be a trustee for easy flow of information of the funds development to the SPC. It was mentioned that the DHRMD, which is a department under OPC, is represented. Action number 3. The OPC instructed the fund to move with speed in concluding the sale of Amaryllis Hotel. Action point number 4, being it that the issue has reached the highest office, the fund was advised to report on a weekly basis the progress made in this transaction. Make communication to the Director of Legal Services, Mr. Chizaso Nyirongo. Action point number 5, the fund to engage the next investment manager on Amaryllis Hotel. And the way forward, the action points were given timelines. Number 1 timeline was to communicate on the replacement of trustee left. The role was given to OPC to submit a nominee. The timeline was 1 month. Number 2, conclusion of Amaryllis transaction of March. The timeline was 1 month. Number 3, submission of comfort letter to the seller, YIL Investment. Timeline given was 3 days. And number 4, the fund to submit action plan to OPC on 8 March. They were given 5 days to do that. And finally, Chair, resuscitating the engagement with the next investment manager of Amaryllis. The timeline given was 1 month. I submit.
So, a former chief of staff, I think I've done you a favor by helping you get to the details of what actually happened, the actions which were agreed upon, that these are the things. Since you said you can't recall some of those things because you are a silent observer, having heard from Blanta Chiromoni, do you agree to those minutes?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Responding to the issue raised by Blanta Chiromoni, where he has read what is said to be the minutes. It's very difficult for me, Chair, because these minutes I have not seen them. And these minutes, can I confirm with you, Chair, whether they are signed minutes? They were approved and signed for. I think that's where I need some comfort that there are minutes that were signed and approved, because I don't remember to have seen minutes of that sort.
Controlling officer, I just want to come back to you. Did you attend the meeting? Can you get to the mic?
Yes, I did.
Is confirmation of the basic facts premised on the availability of minutes or recollection of your mind?
Thank you, Chair. I think for me, I want to be very particular that we are talking of a house of records, and the minutes are very serious documents in as far as governance is concerned. So for me to commit and start commenting using those that have been read in reference to the question that was asked by Chiladzulo, is it Chilad?
I had asked Blanta Chilomoni just to actually confirm and read some points within the action points within the discussions that you had in Mzuzu in 2024, just 2 years ago. You're a smart person. But you have decided to remember some and forget some. Is this what we are seeing from these deliberations, former Chief of Staff?
Thank you, Chair. I thought I indicated that I would be safe to give generalities, but to go through the details of minutes and action points with the specific deadlines and whosoever was given that assignment, allow me, Chair, to refrain from that, because I strongly believe that minutes are a very strong instrument for governance, and it's an important record of any meeting. Thank you.
We will proceed in this way. Those who attended that meeting, we had one who appeared, and the other one is going to appear soon after you from the fund, who verify and generate a conclusion out of those deliberations. What you've said to this committee and what the other colleagues are going to say to those effect. That said, we will also share with you officially, in case you forgot, we will officially, as Parliament, Public Accounts Committee, share with you the minutes. Then we would like you to respond, put it in writing, that these I can confirm, these I can't confirm. In that way, you help us to keep records at Parliament. We want to have a Parliament that is on top, and a Parliament that is being fair to everyone. Where we see that members are not, those who are appearing to this inquiry are not having enough information when the committee has, we'll give them a chance to go through and submit a written response based on the documents that we've given. So Secretariat will follow through with those documents to you. Then we'll expect you to give us a response in writing. Other members, can I have takers? I see Chitipa Central. I see Nkatabe Central. Blantyre City Central. Blantyre Central and the Blantyre Chiromoni. In that order, please. Blantyre Chiromoni will be the last one. We'll start all the way from the north. Chitipa Central. I will not take for now those who already add something, so that we get to hear from other members who haven't spoke in the room. Or haven't asked substantive questions or any supplementary. But those of us supplementary, you'll be given a chance as well. Chitipa Central.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, for recognizing the great people of Chitipa Central. The people of Chitipa Central are hoping that the coming of the former Chief of Staff will help us understand some missing gaps surrounding the said pressure surrounding the purchasing of Amaryllis Hotel. He has indicated that his position was also leadership in nature, and politically he was reporting to the President. The SPC invited him in that room where it was said that these funds was having pressure from the SPC. By being in that room where the minutes that have been read, which some of them he doesn't, which has refused to recognize, by being silent, he approved what was being saying there. I want him to agree that he approved what was said in that room by being silent. Silence can, because the trustees knew that there is a political leadership in that room, and he was representing that political leadership, and the leadership is influence. So by being silent to what was agreed in that room, by not saying anything, I would want him to agree that he approved what was said in that room. Again, I would have come on supplemental on the question of Chilazu Lunyungwe, but now it's my chance to come in for the question. He sat in that meeting as an observer. Mr. Nyilongo, who was also in that meeting, told us that the principal officer then, Mr. George Jim, was making demands to the SPC, Ms. Colleen Zamba, that he would make sure that the fund by the Amaryllis Hotel on condition that he's promoted. He may not have heard that, but as an observer, he must have observed something. In his observation, what was in it that Ms. Colleen Zamba wanted to make sure that the fund by the Amaryllis Hotel. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chitipa Central. Mr. Kapondamgaga.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to respond to the issue raised by the great people of Chitipa Central. Silence approving what was said in the room. I don't think so. Because any approval of anything that was said in the room only happens when the minutes are read, reviewed, they are adopted, and they are signed for. If you don't agree with what was said in the room, you don't agree with it. But also as an observer, that's why when the minutes are not there, I can't ask because it wasn't my meeting. I was just invited to listen. So I can't say that because I remain silent, then I am approving everything what was said in the room. Chair, I cannot say that. Number two, the demands that I might have skipped this one. I didn't hear it. So I can't comment anything on that. The one you said, Mr. Jim, I think he was making a demands to the SPC. I have to be very honest. I didn't hear that one. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. That was a response for Chitipa Central. Nkatabe Central.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. And thank you for giving the people of Nkatabe to express what we're seeing on this transaction. Mr. Kapondamgaga, what is in the public domain is that 128 billion has been stolen from the pensions fund. I am sure by now you have that information because it is in the public domain. The meeting that is being referred to in Mzuzu, the meeting which you attended, was called by the former Chief Secretary, Madam Colleen Zamba. According to Boyd Hamera, who appeared before this committee, before you, sir, Boyd Hamera told this meeting that Madam Colleen Zamba wanted to know what is causing the delay in the process of procuring Amaryllis Hotel. That was the question. What is the delay, according to Boyd Hamera? And from what you have said and what I've heard, you are agreeing that in that meeting it was said that, Madam, what is causing the delay is that we are being threatened. There are threats of us being sued. Did you hear those sentiments, sir? Well, that's what you have told us. And that's what Boyd Hamera also told us. There were threats of the pension fund being sued. So ideally, one would say that was what was causing the delay. Madam Colleen Zamba, the former Chief Secretary, wanted to know what is causing the delay. And the response was, Madam, Akutoa Pieza, there are threats of us being sued. To that effect, Madam Colleen Zamba then introduced Chizaso Nyirongo, a lawyer working for OPC, on the board, Peter Yemwe. And Chizaso Nyirongo became the chairperson. Boyd Hamera became the principal officer or the authorizing officer. Within 30 days, the process was fast-tracked and the deal was concluded. According to the minutes led by Blantyre Chiromoni, I am seeing there's a correlation. There's a correction. Can you confirm, sir? That's my first question. I'll come again with the second one. This one is yes or no. Just confirm. Can you confirm? Thank you, sir.
Mr. Kapondamgaga, can you respond to that?
Thank you, Chair, for giving me an opportunity to respond to Nkarabe Central. I want to start by mentioning that the figure 128 billion, the way I am reading it and the way I'm hearing it out there, it's the price that was given. But the money which was paid was not 128 billion. So I just want to share with you the way I'm seeing this, I'm hearing this. So the 128 is the price, I think, which they agreed. But I think what is there. But I'm also not sure whether this money was stolen. I'm not sure. I can't say that I agree with that the money was stolen. Because I don't know. I think the banks, through the Reserve Bank, yesterday they were here. I'm following these deliberations. And they reported that they have secured, they have ring-fenced, they have prevented the funds from going to where it was going. I think it would be better for the Reserve Bank, they are better positioned to comment on these matters. I can't say anything, whether stolen or used. The comment about Madam Zamba, that he asked the question, what is causing the delay? I think for me, I heard about not that it was causing the delay, but there was a threat, as I said initially. That's where I heard that they were talking of a threat from the seller to threatening the buyer, that if you don't buy as we agreed, we'll sue you and what have you. I think that was if I remember pretty well, that was the issue. So for me, I can't say that the question was what is delaying the deal. I don't think, unless, since I say that I can't recall if that was the sentiment that was shared then. But I think what I heard in general terms was about the threat, which I think in a submission yesterday by one of the stakeholders, I think if I'm not mistaken, could be Boyd, he said that there was also a legal, they sought legal support to look at the question whether the threat would be realized or not. And they said that 80%, they said, no, it's just a threat. 20%, yes, let's give it a chance that perhaps if we don't do A, B, C, D, it could happen. So I think my comment, it would be very hard for me to agree with the sentiments, which said that Madam Zamba said what is causing the delay, and then the threat is causing the delay. I didn't think, in my recollection, generally, that was the issue. Thank you, Chair.
There was a question from Nkarabe Central that required a yes or no. Nkarabe Central, can you retake that one?
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm fine. But the second one is, Mr. Chief of Staff of the State Residence former, do you agree with me that your presence in that meeting was representing the State House, and that you were called to that meeting by OPC? You have repeatedly said so, that I was called by OPC. OPC meaning Madam Colleen Zamba, the Chief Secretary. So Here is a meeting called by OPC, the highest office of the land, the office of the president and the cabinet, the chief secretary, and you in that meeting attending, representing the state house, the office of the president. And you have said that as the chief of staff, there are some decisions which you take on behalf of the principal. That's what you have said. So, your presence in that meeting, representing the state house, now I tell you this, that after that meeting, the staff you had, the Hamiras and others, from that meeting, they went down to the fund, say, Anatita Anatuk, state house want to know, Kuntunda Afuna Odziwa, they want to know what is causing the delay. Why are we delaying? We are called by the powers that be there. The highest office on the land. We are called by the highest office on the land. What's your comment, sir? We
can give you controlling officer chance to respond to that one. Maybe before you take that one, the challenge that we've been having as a country is people who work at State House because of proximity to power. Time and again, since the coming in of multi-party democracy, proximity to power has nurtured deals that have ended up to be stinking to the general populace. Maybe this proximity to power, in your view, did it influence the future deals that happen in as far as the purchase of Amaryllis Hotel is concerned? If this committee concludes that this deal, in its infancy, you participated silently in that meeting, and in its maturation, you are nowhere to be seen, and you abandoned the responsibility that you got in that meeting in its infancy. Where are you in the maturation of this deal, Mr. Kapondamgaga, please? Maybe before you take that one, there's a supplementary from Mulanje West.
To this date, was the former president aware of the Amaryllis Hotel sale or not? If not, or if yes, who was the president then? Because us sitting here, we haven't met any chief of staff, any SPC, but we were able to read even the communication from the current president being interested in this. That is not going to even support anybody else, but is looking forward to see it to an end. What happened for you not to tell the president, despite working in his office and being the chief of staff, that each and every day you were able to say good morning? What happened for not the president to know? Or maybe were you acting as a president during that time? Thank you.
Mr. Kapondamgaga, can you take that from Katabi Central? Then the one I've asked regarding proximity to power and its effects to the growth of this nation. And at the same time, kindly consider responding to the supplementary from Mulanje West. Over to you, Mr. Kapondamgaga, please. What has gone out of order, Chilazulu Nyungwe?
Thank you, Chair. It's not necessarily a question, but what has gone out of order is that I don't think the controlling officer responded to the question that you had posed to do with the powers, the appointing powers of authorities coming from the Ministry of Information and not OPC. So I'd like for him to clarify that as he's taking the other questions. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
You may take that one. Just to correct Chilazulu Nyungwe, we talked of Ministry of Finance as a direct line ministry for the pension fund. Over to you, Mr. Kapondamgaga.
Thank you, Chair. Let me start with Chilazulu Nyungwe. Is that Chilazulu Nyungwe? Yeah, thank you. I think I responded to the question. I said this meeting, it's OPC that invited the Public Service Pension Trust Fund. I think it would be imperative that when the SPC, you are interfacing with her, you probably ask that question whether the Minister of Finance, as you are saying, is the line ministry for that. That's how I answered, I think, if I remember pretty well. But if I didn't, that's a response. Chiladzulu Nyungwe. Coming to the issue of, let me start with the Nkarabe Central. My presence in the meeting, we were not discussing any political decisions. We were discussing issues to do with, I think the discussion that, not we were, but the discussion that I listened in there were to do with operations governance and the Amaryllis Hotel issue about the threat. So I wouldn't subscribe to the opinion that the people were saying that, unless I see the minutes, the people were saying that the State House, the head of state, but it could be, yes, that some people seeing me would misinterpret it in that way, because it is a subject to misinterpretation. I think I needed to also indicate that. But I don't think I was coming in there with any directives from the president and what have you. I was coming in there, and I want to consistently indicate that I was called in to listen. That's why I took a deliberate position to be silent. Because anything I could have said there would have been misinterpreted as well. I hope I have answered that question, Nkarabe Central. Yes.
No,
Nkarabe Central.
There are three, sir. Yeah, I'd put two. There's one remaining.
Can you hold? Let him finalize. Can you wind up on those things?
Chair, maybe you ask Nkarabe Central to remind me the third one. I'm sorry, I have forgotten the third one.
No.
Mm.
The third one was to ask the controlling officer, former now, who appointed you, sir, to serve at State House? Who appointed? Who was the appointing authority? Who appointed you? Was it Dr. Chakwera or Madam Zamba? Who appointed you? That was the third question. Because the meeting in Mzuzu, you have confirmed that the discussions were around Amaryllis Hotel. The details thereof, we leave that. But the question now is, who appointed you to serve as Chief of Staff in the State House? Who appointed you? Because I was once appointed also to serve in the State House, and I know Professor Peter Mtariga appointed me. Who appointed you? Thank you, Chair.
You can take that one, then we'll go to Blantyre Central.
Chair, you also raised the issues about, you raised your own questions. So let me respond to Nkarabe Central. Appointment of the Chief of Staff is by the President. I was appointed by the President.
The President appointed you. Why then didn't you report to the President? Mzuzu, why didn't you tell him? The President appointed you. Why did you tell him?
Nkarabe Central, you have always been a senior, and throughout you've taught us how to behave and respect the leadership. In this case, you know, I've always recognized you, always, because you're more of a father. So you can always raise your hand, as is the case for Parliament, then I will recognize you. So since you already took to the floor, for the sake of progress, can you switch on your mic and ask your question?
Thank you, Chair. I asked the question of who appointed you, sir, to serve in the State House. Because I know appointments in the State House, There are some who come in as civil servants, there are others appointed by the president. So the question was, who appointed you to serve as chief of staff? Now, to the question, why then did you not report to the appointing authority? If you were appointed by OPC, did you report to OPC of that meeting? If you were appointed by the president, was Dr. Chakwera aware about this meeting in Mzuzu? Did you brief him before or after? Should we assume that he was briefed, Dr. Chakwera, of this meeting in Mzuzu? Thank you, sir.
Mr. Kapondamgaga?
Yeah, maybe let me just indicate again that I was appointed by the president. And the position of this nature is always appointed by the president. But I want also to be very practical and very honest and sincere that not every meeting you report to the president, because you weigh on the relevance and the gravity of the meeting, the issues of the meeting. As I said, it could be an error on judgment, but I felt that Madam Colleen Zamba is the one who was the secretary to president and the cabinet. And most likely handling the matter of this nature, my assumption is the president might have been briefed because she is the one who is handling this meeting. I mean, these issues. Who was handling these issues. So ordinarily one would expect that the president is in the know when she's briefing the president. So I was very much in that comfort that the secretary to the president and cabinet would not miss out on that important issue to report. In any case, she has called for this meeting. It must be one of the items that was reported to the president. But I am not sure. I wanted to also be very frank. So I want to be very honest. It's a house of records. I never took this matter to the president, but on the understanding that it's the OPC, the same office of the president, where technically speaking, I reported to the OPC, but politically, you report to the president. I think that's the way I would address that matter, Chair.
Show the mic. Blanta Central.
Thank you very much, Chair. Mr. Former Chief of Staff, in your submission, item number 3, you indicated that there were no directives that were issued by yourself personally, and any guidance given during the meeting was attributed to the OPC as an institution. My question is, on your submission, do you acknowledge that your presence as Chief of Staff at such a high-level meeting could influence the decisions by the Pensions Fund? That's my first question. Secondly, in your submission again, you have indicated that the PSPTF remains an autonomous body and your presence was not intended to interfere with the independent decision-making process. Now, if we go by the meeting in which you attended that took place on the 16th of March 2024, action plan number 1 was that OPC should appoint a person from OPC to be a trustee for easy flow of information of the fund's development. Now, we see that Mr. Chizaso Nyirongo is suddenly appointed the chair of the Public Service Pension Fund in September 2025, a year after your meeting. Can you please explain this coincidence? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. Controlling Officer.
Chair, thank you for giving me the opportunity to respond to the two questions raised by Blantyre City Central. Number one, do you think your presence influenced the decision by the pension service, for the Public Service Pension Trust Fund? I wouldn't know. In any case, the decision to have the hotel sold has taken place in 2026. So the question should be, in my view as well, to when you are looking at this matter, I wasn't there when decisions to be now moving to sell the hotel were there. In any case, government would have stopped this. I wasn't in government, but this thing was continuing. The key fundamental question that this committee should also ask the stakeholders is this, that Mr. Chair, when government made pronouncements on the 7th October 2025 to dissolve all the boards, when the government made a decision on 10th October and a policy pronouncement to halt all procurements of parastatals and SOEs, when the government made a decision on 10th October 2025 to make sure that all recruitments and promotion in the civil service be suspended, when the government on 4th November made a decision to halt all loan disbursements by NIF, when the government on 6th November issued a policy direction on austerity measures, and amongst those,
Order. What is out of order, Blantyre Central?
My first question was his presence in the meeting, at such a high-level meeting. And I'm sure by virtue of that meeting, high-level meeting, let me ask you this question, that are you aware of the trust deed governing the pensions fund, in as far as the role of the OPC is concerned? Now, the trust fund, anyway, if you're not aware of the trust, the trust deed clearly states that the OPC has no specific role in the management of the fund. Now, apparently, you are found in this particular high-level meeting. Don't you think that your presence would influence the decisions but be made by the pensions fund? That was my first question. Thank you, Chair.
Can you proceed, Controlling Officer, having been refreshed by Blantyre Central?
Mr. Chairman, allow me to finalize from where I stopped, because it will address this question.
Controlling former Chief of Staff, kindly proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So on 10th December, on 6th November, 2025, the government issued austerity measures, amongst which there was a moratorium that was issued on procurement of new vehicles and new high-value assets. This hotel is part of the high-value assets. We are not there. I'm not there. Decisions are continuing. Is it not a paradox to see that government has halted the NIF and the others, but this thing is still continuing? So how could my presence influence decisions which are happening later? So to answer the question specifically, it's no. I don't believe my presence influenced the decision of the sale of the Amaryllis Hotel. There are a number of issues that were at play, the way we see it. Why did the government not halt this, considering that there were alarm bells that were ringing in their transaction? That is a fundamental question that we must also ask in earnest. So that's what I think, Mr. Chair, my presence wouldn't influence any decision by the Public Service Pension Trust Fund to procure the hotel. Because it was just an incident. It was not a practice. I have not been in other meetings. I have only been in that meeting. And decisions are happening in January. Decisions are happening in February. So I don't think so. Thank you, Chair. Number 2 is appoint a person from OPC for easy flow. Appoint a person from OPC to be in the fund or to be a contact point. That's where, Mr. Chair, I'm saying that the minutes are very crucial in this aspect. And they must be approved minutes, must be signed for. I'm emphasizing on this point because anybody can walk out in a meeting and claim that these are the minutes of the meeting. And those minutes should also be shared. As you said, Chair, that you will send this information for us to give a proper response on these matters. I welcome that. So, in my view, this point number 2, I need clarity that the action point, what does the action point say? And that clarity of the action point in the minutes must come from approved minutes, not just any other minutes. We heard yesterday, I've been following these discussions. One of the things I said, there must be strengthening accountability on the governance is because of the way that fund has also been managing itself in terms of keeping the minutes. Minutes are lost, minutes can't be found, and that's what has been presented here in this kind of discussion. So I'm not comfortable to be given action points from minutes which are not signed for. I want to emphasize that, Chair. It's a serious matter on governance. Thank you.
Thank you, Controlling Officer. Can we go to Blanta Chiromoni Nancholi Kabula?
Thank you so much, Chair. I think the former Chief of Staff is clever to have followed the inquiry and somehow appears to me he has had some information from this committee shared with him because of his claim. But I won't belabor myself going through all that, Chair. If you can allow the people of Blanta Chiromoni to have a back and forth interrogation with the former Chief of Staff, Chair, for 7 to 10 minutes.
Blanta Chiromoni Nancholi Kabula, please proceed.
Chair, I like the fact that the former Chief of Staff accepted partially that his presence in the meeting could really make someone conclude that he was representing the high office. And that's exactly what Colleen Zamba wanted you in that meeting. Because in that meeting, she had really hinted that the issue has reached the high office and therefore needed a push and speed. Former Chief of Staff, Mr. Prince Kapondamgaga, governance frameworks exist precisely to define who has authority, who has oversight and accountability. Is that correct?
Mr. Prince Kapondamgaga, like he has requested, so I granted his wish that he is going to ask you straight. And as soon as he finishes, you switch on your mic. When you're done responding, he's going to switch on his mic. We proceed that way, please.
Come again on the question, Blantyre Chilomoni Kabula.
Governance frameworks exist precisely to define who has authority, oversight, and accountability. Is that correct?
It's correct, but it's not limited to what the statement says. Thank you.
Such that the mandates are not just bureaucratic boundaries, they are safeguards against confusion, duplication, or misuse of public resources. Is that correct?
That's correct.
When someone participates in these meetings or decision-making without clear mandate, it does undermine both legitimacy and the trust in the process. Is that correct?
It's not correct. Because you're going to attend a meeting as an ex-officio, and you don't have a voting right in that meeting. If you... No, you're gonna, let me finish. Even at UN conventions, people attend meetings as observers. So I attended this meeting as an observer, but I couldn't, I wouldn't say that that is illegal. It is, if the chairman thinks, who is the chairman of that meeting, who thinks that I need so and so to be in the meeting, it is up to the chair of the meeting. But you can't say that is illegal.
Mulanje West had given leverage to Blantyre Kabula. Let's, you can hold your supplementary questions in case within his 5 minutes there are those questions. So, Blantyre Kabula, proceed.
Chair, it's exactly why I said in the first place that his presence in that meeting is exactly what Colin Nzamba wanted, to bring that particular confusion. I'll proceed. At the fund meeting, which you were the chief of staff then and attended, you agree that your role as the chief of staff does not include participating in the public service pension trust funds commercial transaction. Is that correct?
It's correct, but I was not there, discussing only issues of the public.
Yes or no questions, please. Correct or not correct?
It will be unfair.
Mr. Kapondamgaga, whenever you are responding, make sure you switch on the mic so that it is recorded. Where you feel you don't have a response, you're free to say so, because this has been the general practice on our members that have time and again indicated that anyone who feels that, no, that one I'm not taking, you're free to do so. Basically, that's what has been happening. And those who have been following this inquiry, that is what has been the tradition. And we're not going to change the goalpost because you are here. So in the event that you feel that I can't take that one, you're free to say so. But remember to remember. Switch on your mic, make a response. When you feel you're done, switch it off so that you can conclude with a Blantyre Chilomoni Kabula. Over to you, Blantyre Chilomoni Kabula.
I will ask again. At that fund meeting on the 16th of March, 2024, which resuscitated the sale of Amaryllis, that has resulted in us now buying that hotel at 128 billion. Because of that particular meeting, because that's the meeting that resuscitated. That's the reason why we're always referring to that meeting, because it's a meeting that resuscitated, which you attended. At that particular meeting, as the chief of staff, you attended that meeting. You agree with me that your role as a chief of staff did not include participating in the public service pension trust fund on the commercial transaction. Is that correct?
It's not correct because it's not, Chair, it's not correct because that was not a public service pension fund meeting. It was a meeting called by OPC.
Called by OPC to discuss the transaction, called by OPC to discuss business transaction of the pension, of the public service pension trust fund. Is that correct?
It's not correct to understand the fund's operation, governance, and investment portfolios. It's very clear. Even in your letter, Mr. Chairman, the one you wrote me, that is the statement, not to discuss the business of the fund. It is not a meeting. It was not a meeting for the public service pension trust fund. It was a meeting by OPC. In fact, they invited the fund, and not the whole fund. 2 members of the fund, representatives. So you can't conclude and say that this is a meeting of the fund. It is wrong to say that. Those premises are wrong, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
So you having the experience that you have, you are here telling this committee that as a chief of staff, you have seen nothing wrong to participate in that particular meeting on that day.
The meeting by OPC, that was called by OPC, and I was requested by my supervisor, who happens to be the head of OPC by that time. It was not wrong, because I attended that meeting as an observer. I never partaked in any decision making. I didn't partake in any decision making which were done there, because I was just simply an observer. So I don't think it was wrong, because it was by express invitation of the chairperson of that meeting. Thank you, Chair.
As an observer in that meeting, you are there to represent and protect the interests of the president. Is that correct?
I don't think so. Thank you.
What has gone out of order, Mulanje Southeast?
Honorable Chairperson, I think we are being misled by the Honorable former Chief of Staff. In his presentation to this Honorable Committee 10 minutes ago, he had indicated that he attends meetings and he participates in meetings as an agent of the President. It's on record, Chairperson. And now, 10 minutes later, he's denying the same, Honorable Chairperson. It is on record, Chairperson, that he has attended several other meetings representing the President. It's on record, Chairperson. Can you remind the stakeholder the seriousness of this Honorable Committee and the fact that he's deponing under oath? Thank you, Chairperson.
Controlling Officer, can you actually get aligned to what Mulanje Southeast has submitted? Because the committee is a general feeling of the committee that we are operating at different wavelengths. There are times you're setting the standards high, then at times you're lowering the standards yourself. Can you decide to operate at that level where everyone feels that, I know, here comes the former chief of staff? So proceed.
Maybe, Chair, the Blantyre Chilomoni Kabula.
At any other meeting, you go and represent you were going to represent the interest of the president, but at this particular meeting, you were not representing the interest of the president, because I asked you a very simple question. You were there to represent and protect the interests of the former president. Is that correct?
Blantyre Kabula, can you retake that one? Like I said, you have now 2 minutes. you've actually done 8 minutes. So, like I wrote, kindly respond direct to the Blantyre Chiromoni. Can you retake that one so that the former chief of staff can respond directly? Over to you, Blantyre Chiromoni.
You were there to represent and protect the interests of the former president. Is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, as per your guidance, let me remain silent on that question. Thank you.
You indicated that you don't report to the president everything, and it's sometimes on a need-to-know basis. At what threshold, if you are discussing an amount of a sale, that particular time the hotel sale was 47 billion, in your wisdom you thought that that's not something you should bring to the attention of the president. Is that correct?
No, because as I said, this matter is a matter that is already in the office of the president, because the one chairing the meeting and convening the meeting is the secretary to the president and the cabinet. So I didn't think it was my responsibility, because the president will already know from his secretary, who is a senior member of the government, and he is my supervisor. So I wouldn't be reporting matters that were not for the meeting that I called for, the meeting for my supervisor. Thank you.
Former chief of staff, you are an experienced member on governance. You are invited to this senior and very important meeting. You keep changing goalposts. I will ask you the last question. What was your role or the benefit of having you in this meeting? Thank you, Chair.
My role was an observer. Thank you, Chair.
I'm getting guidance from honor members that you've responded to the questions. So according to the request that I've just received from the members, I think we need to proceed in this way. Mlanje West, as a vice chair, kindly ask your question. After that, you can proceed to respond and provide your concluding remarks, because we have 2 more people or stakeholders waiting to have an interface with the committee. So Mlanje West.
Thank you, Chair, and all my senior. I just want to start from where Blantyre Kabula left. That and the former chief of staff said he was there as an observer, and he cited an example of meetings in UN that we have observers, but observers don't even comment in those meetings here at UN. Why did you comment that the State House, the President, is aware of this transaction when you were in Mzuzu? But also, do you know Wahidi Kasim of Area 9, whereby you were communicating with him if you were just an observer about the transaction? But also, third one, what made you to be happy not to tell the president of the 30 billion public fund, which was transacted in this Amaryllis Hotel, being the person who was working in his office? Thank you.
Mr. Kapondamgaga, I see Mulanje Southeast. Please proceed.
Honorable Chairperson, I know we are limited on time, but I just wanted to get confirmation from Mr. Kapondamgaga that he has presented to this honorable committee that his presence in that particular meeting on the 6th of March was basically as an observer. And as one stakeholder mentioned yesterday, he was there to eat. which I think basically he has confirmed. And let me just roll.
Our Mulanje's office to wind up, because the other members gave you about 8, you went on to about 10 minutes. So it's all those things, we gave you space. It's fair enough that other honor members can also get that space, and they can be interjected now. Mulanje's office, please proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Mr. Kapondamgaga, you have mentioned in your submission that we should rely on the minutes. Were you aware that that particular meeting of the 6th of March had minutes? Yes or no?
Chair, I'm not aware.
Mr. Kapondamgaga, that meeting of the 6th of March 2024 had you as a participant in that meeting, and that's something that you have deponed to this committee, that we should rely on the minutes of the meeting, and the minutes of the same have been read to you, and they have not jogged your memory. In that particular meeting, are you aware that on the 7th, the Public Service Trust Fund issued letters of comfort to Amaryllis to the effect that they were still interested in the sale of Amaryllis? Are you aware, yes or no?
Chair, I'm not aware. As I said, that all matters concerning the hotel or whatever meetings were happening, I was not part of, and I wasn't aware, I wasn't following up.
Honorable Chairperson, Mr. Kapondamgaga, are you aware in that meeting that the Public Service Trust Fund, Pension Trust Fund, actually recorded that there was pressure from the highest office, and you were present in that meeting as an agent of the president, as you rightly deponed to this committee, sitting there as a bouncer for secretary to the president and cabinet, yes or no?
I'm not aware, Chair.
Mulanje Southeast, I think you had the guided. So can you ask your last one so that we wind up to allow others to proceed in a procedural manner?
Lastly, Chairperson, as a governance expert, as somebody who has headed institutions before, is he aware that institution decisions are supposed to be made by the board rather than from meetings, yes or no? Thank you, Chairperson.
The former Chief of Staff, can they respond to that one and proceed to make your closing remarks? How many points of orders do you have? Can you take from Mulanje West, and who else? Okay, Blantyre. Let's start with Blantyre Chiromon. One question, please.
It's not a question, Chair. I just feel like we didn't. You remember earlier when I started asking him some questions, it looked like he had prior information about this committee. And the way you have conducted, I think in-house we are going to discuss, the way you are gagging members to ask questions, you are rushing members to finish questions. And if you look at it behind, you would say you are outside, you hold an office from where the former Chief of Staff is. So you rushing everyone. I think when we have meetings like this, maybe we would ask that at least that particular one should be chaired by someone neutral. Maybe your vice chair could have handled otherwise. Because even Mulanje is asking questions, you are saying that's the last one. Give members time so they can ask everything that they have, Chair. I submit.
Honourable members, I think let me make it very clear. I've been receiving calls from honourable members that we've taken wrong. One of these is right here. And even yesterday, members complained, including Blunt Mulanje Waste, that we're giving you so much time. Others are being given so much time. This is exactly that has happened. So I have a letter here. Let him make. Let him.
I'm very disappointed. I am very disappointed today. The way we have conducted this meeting.
Honorable members, can we suspend the meeting for 5 minutes so that I can read the letter that came from one of the members asking.
One of the members is not everyone.
Okay.
Members were going to just listen to one decision by one member.
Controlling the former chief of staff, kindly consider taking a break for 5 minutes, then we'll resume.